Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our quick 30-minute session on strengthening literacy knowledge and language comprehension resources. My name is Angela Romano, and I am the Professional Learning Manager for your school district. If you've not had the opportunity to sign in today, please make sure you do that, as well as information about getting paid. We were asked to show that at each of the sessions. If you want to go ahead and log in to your RISE Plus account, you do log in through Clever, and there is a learning tile called Learning A to Z, and it's got the little robot on it. Your kids also log in through Clever. Everyone has access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you are brand spanking new and you do not have you don't have an account through Clever, you can use the training passwords that I have on my screen. While everyone's getting logged in, I'm going to share the Google folder that has all of our slide decks, different documents for you to send home to parents. Anything that we feel like is appropriate for the district, we always add it into that folder. So you're always welcome to go in and use that. It's available at all times. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of usernames and passwords to the chat, so that way if you do not have access, you'll be able to get in. All right, so we're going to talk about just a couple of areas for strengthening that literacy knowledge. And I'm going to go ahead and just go straight to the site because we do just have about 25 minutes. So I've chosen 6 different resources that I feel like will provide you with the best support for that language comprehension when you're thinking about science of reading, thinking about that literacy knowledge strand. These are great resources that provide that support for you. So I'm going to go straight into the site because I would much rather have you actually doing exploration than listening to me talk. So the very first one that you can do a little bit of exploration in are going to be all of the grade level text. Now, one thing that I always like to remind teachers is that when you are looking for that most intentional text for your kids, you can search by the grade level or the Lexile, or you can use our rainbow bar, the Learning A to Z bar. But what you may not know is, and this is a great way for that literacy knowledge, is what am I looking for? Are we working with fictional text, non-fictional text? What are some other resources that I might need that would support that literacy knowledge? As you open up a grade level text, you also want to look not only at just the story for the literacy, but also what are some other ways to build that knowledge for the kids. The lesson plan provides you with some additional questions, but you also have additional worksheets that you can print out and have the kids use, thinking about asking and answering questions. Building that sequencing from this story, that's going to help with that knowledge, with that timeline of things that are going on. So always look at opening up all of the different components within the different resources. Right under, and I'm going to show you these resources, then I'm going to have you go in and just do some exploration. Also, one of the ones that's right under the text are the genres. So instead of looking at just fiction or nonfiction, now you can go in and really focus that literacy knowledge around different genres. Maybe you're working on folk tales. Maybe you're doing persuasive type of writing and you're looking for some books that you can use that will coincide with those. So I always just like for you to know where different types of resources are. Now, in addition to the level text, the other resources for that literacy knowledge, for building that language, is going to be under the focused instruction tab. And a couple of them that I chose were the comprehension skill packs, the shared reading, the graphic organizers, and the visual devices. All four of those resources are giving you a way to build knowledge through your modeling, that explicit vocabulary, how to do something, what they're, depending on what they're looking for, you're modeling those close reading skills within using these. You ought through that comprehension and that shared reading. But then with the graphic organizers, you're giving the kids the opportunity to give back what it is that, they're not want to say regurgitating, but you've modeled, now it's time to give them the opportunity to do that independent practice. And with that independent practice, they're going to go in and delve into, if it's sequencing, it may be a matter of they're looking for different cause and effect in the story, or maybe a compare and contrast. They're responding to the text. So another great way to bring in that knowledge, that background knowledge, and that literacy support. If you were in any of my other sessions, and in one of my sessions, I also showed the shared reading. The shared reading is open for TK through third grade level. It's grade level appropriate text, but within each one of these, so I know this Gordy Gorilla, this is one that I would have used when I was teaching kindergarten. The kids have a listen and read option, but you also have a very detailed 5-day lesson plan that's giving you different questions to ask the kids to, again, you're trying to build knowledge, build vocabulary skills. You're teaching the kids how to make predictions before they're reading, maybe identifying characters, different character traits, making those connections between the text to themselves or to others. Lower level text, it may be working on print concepts. All of these are a big piece of that literacy knowledge, really embedding. I'm not just reading a book, but I have a purpose, and I have several different purposes each time I am looking at a text. This is one of my personal favorite resources because it allows you to model what you want the kids to do that they could do actually online, but it's really being very explicit about the different types of text and the different purposes when we are reading. You can see I have just placed some examples of different ways that you could use this for modeling. Notice there's characters that are actually explaining parts of the book, why that's important, making predictions about the book. The beauty of this particular area for the prompt is that if you're a one-to-one, or if the kids have mobile devices, maybe they're sharing it with another child. When you are sitting down, maybe on the carpet in a whole group, or maybe they're at their desk, you can assign this out to the students. And while you're showing the kids what you're doing, the kids can actually be modeling. So maybe they are circling the title, but now they're looking at maybe who wrote the story. What does that mean? What does author mean? Maybe they're going back and they're putting a happy face by the illustrator, because we know the illustrator is going to be the one that always provides us with all the great pictures that we see. So, I'm just making up different ways to do it, but what I'm showing is it's a great way to build that knowledge. It's very, very explicit modeling that you're doing for the kids. And our mindset around literacy knowledge is we want to model and have kids practice over and over and over. We want this embedded, that as they're reading, they're coming up with a lot of different reading strategies just automatically. It's built in because of things that we have done over time with the kids. A couple of other resources in that focused instruction, that comprehension skill pack and the visual devices both provide some of the same features with that gradual release of responsibility. They're both differentiated instruction. So I may be teaching at a grade level text, but my kids may be practicing in maybe a text that's either higher or lower than what that grade level is. But that's a great way to differentiate that instruction for those kids. So another one that you might want to take a look, these also have interactivities that are available for the kids to do online. And then right under the shared reading are the visual devices. Visual devices have the same type of lesson plan as the comprehension skill pack. It's going to provide that I do, we do, you do. All of these are, you can print these out. You can add them to your file folder if you want to keep everything organized. These are not assignable, but these are great resources that you can use for other content areas. I know when I was teaching, my kids had the hardest time knowing how to read a timeline. And this visual device on the timelines would be a great way for me to teach that to the kids when they're working with their social studies. So don't just think of us just as an ELA resource, but also a resource I can use throughout the day. And then the last one that I want you to look at are the graphic organizers. These are K2, 3-6. The 3-6 are a little more complex than the K2s. We have them for strategies as well as comprehension skills. These are printable. There's also, when you download, they're also editable. So if you wanted the kids, maybe third grade, you're downloading it and the kids are typing on it, they could do that as well. But just different ways to pull in their understanding of the text. So why don't you take, let's say, just about 5 minutes, maybe pick one, and I'm going to put the this back up so that way you can see. Remember, the grade level and genres are under your level text. And then the shared comprehension skill packs, graphics, and visual devices are under that focused instruction. So maybe pick one or two. This time goes by very quickly. We have about 11 minutes. So why don't you take, let's do 8 minutes. That's going to give you some time to open up a couple of resources. And if I can answer any questions in the chat, please feel free to ask. And as you find something, please share it out in the chat. It's a great way for other people that may not have the opportunity to look at something. Maybe you notice something in shared reading that you want to share out so everybody else can see it as well. As I mentioned in the Google folder, there is a PDF on all of the sessions that we've done today. So if you want to go back and look at maybe some of the sessions you weren't able to attend, there's some other information that maybe might be pertinent for you. The Google folder is going to have all of that. I do see that we've had a couple of other people join. So I'm going to go ahead and add that Google folder link one more time. And just as the day has progressed, I've added other things. Teachers wanted some parent resources, so I added those. I created a parent folder during the session that you have access to. There's papers you can email out to the teachers, download. I wouldn't suggest printing them out because the links are embedded, and so if you email it, they could click on the links. Y'all are the quietest group I've had. You must be tired. Well, I agree with being tired. I live in Texas, so I'm actually Central Time, so it's after 5 for me. Tony, I'm not sure when you're saying you're having a hard time finding the login. When you're a substitute teacher, because they go into Clever, I'm not sure that you would have access. The district sometimes gives access to long-term substitutes, but I'm not sure about using it as a substitute. That might be something that you want to check with the district with. The licenses are sold by teachers, and the teachers are licensed through Clever. So it may be something that maybe I'm not aware of, that maybe you know more about. The teachers can leave work, the printable resources for you. Yeah, when you say you can log in at the school site, I'm not sure how you're able to do that, but I'm not gonna say anything. Normally, it's very private that substitutes don't have access to kids' reports, because that does give the kids reports. So normally we don't allow substitutes to have that access unless they become the teacher of record. All right, we only have a couple of minutes. So if you don't mind putting like maybe one thing in the chat that you found that might be useful for you to use in your classroom for, building that literacy knowledge. We do want to make sure that you fill out the feedback for the digital learning day. I don't know if when you fill out the feedback, if that actually is what gets you paid. I just know that I'm supposed to show it at the end of our sessions. We do have one more session for the day, and it's really just helping you to see how to look at the data. And it's a quick session, but you're welcome to come back and visit us for that one as well. I don't see any other questions, but we have 2 minutes, so I'm happy to stay on and answer any other questions that you might have. But if not, you can log out to get into your next session, or maybe take a break and stretch your legs. I appreciate you being here today. Thanks. I will share my contact before you go. So if you do need additional support, feel free to email me, reach out. I'm always happy to answer any questions that you may have. Have a great school year, everyone.